thank you, first of all, for inviting me. This is really exciting. My name is Viktor, and I'm one of the co-founders behind Hubert, which is a AI recruiting platform. And today I will talk a little bit about AI recruitment in different settings, which is a pretty fun example of how AI can be applied to a real operations problem. So, quick agenda. So, first of all, a quick introduction to AI in recruiting in general. Then I will talk about some examples of use cases for AI. And then a little bit about what issues can be tackled using AI. A little bit about Hubert, how it works, and what technical challenges we face. So let's start. First of all, an introduction to AI in recruiting. AI has really brought a new, totally new level of automation to tasks that traditionally were too complicated to automate. And as opposed to the old binary technology, AI can find patterns that are really complex, draw conclusions from those patterns, understand instructions made from natural language, generate text, make automated assessments, and much more. So in recruiting specifically, there are a lot of use cases that are really interesting to look into further. And some of the use cases can be, for example, to increase speed of the processes, personalization at scale, and reduce bias, and of course save a lot of time, which means that the actual recruiters have more time to spend on more qualified tasks instead of the repetitive like mass tasks that especially high volume recruiters face on a daily basis, and it also leaves a lot of room to be created. So 3 quick examples of use cases in recruiting. If we start at the top of the recruiting funnel, so to speak, we have the sourcing part, which of course is it's the part that aims at finding and reaching the right talent to reach out to. And there are some AI-driven applications that could help in this specific stage. So, for example, to help you write a more compelling job ad, for example, which takes gender-neutral language into account, so that you can, instead of unconsciously writing texts that attract a certain type of individual, these kind of tools help you develop your writing to attract a more diverse group, for example. And it can also be used to predict whether a candidate is right for a job change or not. Secondly, as we move down this recruiting funnel, we have different kinds of screening applications. First of all, for highly qualified jobs, we have some AI softwares that are used to test candidate, mainly mental ability or intelligence tests, using AI to really sort of get under their skin and on a deeper level try to understand how they function in a logical manner. And the screening stage of the recruiter journey is also where it's absolutely most crowded with AI-driven solutions in facing the screening issue in a set of different ways. And as for high volume applications, we have the kind of tools that I'm working on right now, which I'm going to go into more detail into right now. So Hubert. Hubert is a sort of a chat-based applications with that faces the issue that when you're trying to recruit for entry level or unqualified jobs, whatever you want to call them, it's not at all uncommon to have around 3 to 4 to 500 applications even to every open position. And this takes a lot of time and effort to assess and find the right candidate among. And unconscious bias also is a major factor that has gained a lot of attention recently, mainly due to the fact that it's become quite apparent that the best teams are often the most diverse teams, and unconscious bias often leads to you hiring people that are really similar to you, which makes your teams really homogeneous. Lastly, and it sounds kind of like a paradox that introducing AI into a process can make for a more personal experience. But actually, for the reality, for over 80% of applicants for these kinds of positions, they never reach the next step in the process. So if they're lucky, maybe they get a no thanks, thanks but no thanks letter. But many don't hear back at all from the company in question. And with Hubert, everyone is invited to an interview, which makes for a much more personal experience as opposed to not hearing back from the company at all. Even though, of course, it's not a personal experience in the same manner as being personally met. So this works similar to a real interview. First of all, you get an invitation email from us and our customer, which tells you a little bit about thank you for applying. Next step in this process is an AI-driven interview, blah 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 blah. And then once you click through to the link, you get met by Hubert, which and he tells you a little bit about who he is and what he's doing, and gives you some quick background and asks you if you're ready to start. So this is a chat interview that is consisting of mostly open-ended questions. And depending on the performance in the interview, all the candidates are ranked in a sorted list. And from here on, the process is manually handled by recruiters that verify and approve of Hubert's ratings. And we are usually able to screen out about 90% of the candidates, which is often considerably higher than other high volume screening tools. So how does this work then? So the rankings take into account mainly 3 different areas. So first of all, we have traditional sort of knockout questions, which handles some hygiene factors, if you want to call them that. So for example, can you work in the evenings? Can you work weekends? Are you okay with this kind of salary? And so on. Secondly, we have a language model, which looks into how you as a candidate are able to communicate in this chat format. As one of our target areas is within customer service, is really important for them to be able to handle, for example, this kind of chat conversations in a good way, because that's one of the most common ways to interact with customers through a chat support. And thirdly, we have competency-based questions that we built the system in 3 sort of layers. So we have the position at the top layer, and then we have competences tied to the position at the second layer, and then we have questions that try to measure the competences on the third and last layer. And these 3 areas are all considered when building the candidate ranking. And of course, this, as I thought this is a pretty technical forum, I thought I would just bring up some technical challenges that we face on a daily basis. So, for example, in the interview, we try to do a real-time context analysis of the incoming data that the candidates express in the chats, and we always try to follow up with either something that is relevant to the context or a follow-up question if we see that some kind of information is lacking from the response. And of course, we face all different kinds of problems when it comes to jump logic. So, for example, I want to go back to the previous question, or wait, I wasn't finished on the second to last question, or what have you. And of course, the other part is the rating part, where the issue is rather tied to parsing and interpreting the data that we get in, and of course avoiding bias and setting individual scores on all the candidates. So yeah, that was that. And who's using this then? Some of our clients include like rather big recruitment companies. We're working with a lot of different recruitment companies here in Sweden, and of course high volume talent acquisition teams in fast or rapidly growing companies, mainly within logistics and customer support roles. We are just about to enter the UK market, so that's really exciting for us. And that was it for my 10 minutes, I think. Thank you very much for listening.